Hey, hello guys. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello guys. Good evening. So we will wanted to do two things today. One is we'll look at command line interface, AWS CLI, and if time permits, definitely I think we have to do this device farm also. These are the two topics that I wanted to cover today. AWS CLI. Okay. So we've been talking about AWS CLI, it is a unified tool to manage AWS services. Whatever you can do with the AWS console, you can do the same using AWS CLI. So it is a tool that you can download. There is for Linux, there is a Linux version. For Windows, there is a Windows version. And once you download that, you can run a lot of commands. A very, very powerful tool, maybe more powerful than the console. I would say it is only way to learn this. I'm not an expert in it, but certain situations I have used it. That's all, because 99% of the things you can do it through command line, through the console. But certain situations, maybe in a very automated environment, probably command line interface could make a big difference. You could do a lot of automations and scripting and all with that. Muthu, can you please mute? Actually, there is a lot of noise coming from the side.
Already muted, Terry.
When you're talking, then how are you talking when you're muted?
Not talking. I'm listening just now.
Okay, can you mute?
Yeah, I already muted. Yep.
I'm getting some kind of noise.
Okay, I can disconnect and call back.
No, you're not muted. I will mute you then. You have to mute through the phone. You're not muted up now also. Yep, the noise is coming from your side. Can you mute? All right, I have to mute you, okay? So if you want to use, please use the chat. Okay, so guys, so this is AWS CLI. It's a command line interface. That is what is. You can do a lot of things with AWS CLI, but as I said, you go to practice. And it is interesting, there is a lot of commands. So you don't need to by heart everything, but as long as you have a reference document or something, I think pretty much you can do a lot of things. So setting up the AWS CLI is the key thing. How do you configure the AWS CLI? So to do that, basically, you need to go to installing AWS CLI. By the way, did anybody in this class try to install AWS CLI? Just asking. And did anybody try to install CLI? Have you used AWS CLI? Okay, Nasur it is. Okay. All right, so you can actually use AWS CLI. It's not that tough. So you go here, you can actually download the required version. I think it is somewhere here. It should be there. Where is that? So you can actually download AWS CLI somewhere from here. I know there was a page. I'm just looking at it. Hold on. Installing CLI. So for Windows, you have to download this MSI installer. So here it is, download the AWS CLI in 64-bit and 32-bit. So let's go and install it. I have it already installed here. So you can basically download this. It is an AWS CLI 64-bit. You run this installer. So install it on your Windows box. I already have it installed, so it might ask me for a repair, but we'll just do that. It's a simple step you need to install on a Windows box. So agree, and then this is the AWS command line interface. There is no other piece to it. It has a lot of modules and bundles inside it, and you can just install the AWS CLI. So let it get installed. Once you install the AWS CLI, the first thing we need to do is we have to configure it. Then only you can connect your Amazon account or wherever it is. All right, so we installed the AWS CLI. Good. Okay. So you need to install that, and then the second thing is once you install it, you need to configure it. So basically there is a command once you install it, so everything is command line. So once you install AWS CLI, you can come here and can you all see my screen? I think I'll change the font a little bit. Bigger. No, it's not enough. All right. So once you do this AWS CLI, you know, if you type AWS configure, this is where actually you configure your CLI. But before doing that, I just wanted to know there is a help command here. You can do the help command. It will give you a lot of commands where you can actually get a lot of information. I'll provide you some information. There is actually a good document where you can do some references for AWS CLI. Now, when you install AWS CLI, you know, basically in your Windows server, if you go to your Windows server and go to your C drive and users, and you take your current user, there will be a folder called .aws. It will create a folder called .aws. Inside that folder, there will be two files. These two files are very, very important. There is a small risk factor in it, so you have to be careful with your machine because this credentials file actually store all your information in that. So if you look at that credential file, you can see that your access key and the secret key for every user will be stored here, and this is what it uses to connect to Amazon. And then there is a config file which is also very, very important. That config file will have what region you want to connect, what type of output you want to see, and things like that. So this is it. So if you can customize that as you need, if you have multiple users, there is something called as a profile option and all. I'm not going to get into the detail, but if you have two users sharing the same computer, you know, let's say myself and Sunu are going to use the same computer, but when I log in, I wanted to use my profile to connect. That means whatever permissions I have, I will be able to execute. And when Sunu logs in from the same computer and he tried to do some command line interface, he will be able to do what he is supposed to do. So you can have multiple profiles also configured with this. Okay. So the first thing you need to do with AWS CLI is once you configure your CLI, you need to configure your user account. So what I'm going to do right now here is I'm going to configure the AWS CLI using the AWS configure command. So I have a user here. Let's go and pick up this particular user. I will probably pick this user called Cherian. So the Cherian is a user. He has all these permissions and there is a security credentials here. I don't know the key, so I'm going to delete this key and I'm going to create a new access key because we need an access key and a secret key in order to do it. So I'm going to download this file, the Excel file. So this is the file that has the secret key and the access key. Okay. So now look at what I'm going to do. I'm coming here, you type AWS space configure. This is the first thing you need to do, okay, to configure your AWS CLI. So do that, and it is asking, okay, provide the access key. So you have to provide the access key. So I have the access key here. I copied it here and paste there. And now you need to enter the secret key and paste that secret key there. So you do that. Right now when you do that, what happens is it is storing this information into the credentials file. Okay, so if you go to the credentials file, you will be able to see these two things. Default region, actually the default region is the US standard region, which is US-East-1, which is nothing but Virginia. So if you know that, then you don't need to do anything. If you want to connect to a different region, US-West or any region, you need to type the region name, but I'm not going to connect to any region. Our instances, our services are all actually here in US East, so you can just enter it. Default output, anything that it produces, when you run the script or when you run a command, the output, you wanted it to be JSON format. That is the default. You can do that JSON. Otherwise, you can just type JSON, so it will take JSON. So now you are configured your AWS environment. So if you now go back to your credentials file and you open it, this credentials file, you will see the same access key. See here, this is the access key, and this is the secret key for that. And if you look at the thing, you can see that the US East is the region and JSON. If you change that, this will change. Okay. So that is what it is you need to do in order to connect to the thing. So now that basically I have connected to the AWS environment with my username and password. I mean, I cannot use username and password. That is where you need to use access key and secret key, right? So now let us try to run some commands. I just wanted to show you how to run some commands. For example, so there is actually, I'll just move this here. There is actually a link here. I will send you this link. I'll put it in the chat window. This is an awesome document that covers everything in Amazon. Okay. Anything that is possible you can think about it is right here in this document. So I would say you download this document and keep it with you. It is a 1,000-page document that pretty much covers Amazon Elastic CLI Reference Guide. So this is an awesome guide. I would say you want to print it out, and then you can see that the topics, there is so many things here. And you can go through that and you can see the different commands to do everything. Anything and everything that you can think of in Amazon can be done through this. You see this, how big it is. It is so big. All right.
Okay.
So, but get used to it. It is actually interesting topic. It is really interesting. Okay. So I would say you may want to definitely do that. So once you do that, and also I wanted to show that I don't have a proxy. For example, you are in your company, right? In your company, you try to install AWS CLI on a laptop or a desktop. Your CLI may not be able to connect to Amazon. That is because your company is using proxy servers and things like that. So there are steps here on how to configure authentication proxy for Windows servers. You need to run this command to make it work. You need to specify your proxy server's address, username and password, and you will be able to connect using that. Okay. So So there is, command structure, basically when you run an Amazon command, anything you do in Amazon, it should always start with the AWS, and then you run the command, then you can have a subcommand, and then you have to provide options and the required parameters. Okay.
Call from Matthew J. Call from Matthew J.
Yeah, hold on one second, guys. Okay. All right, so you can basically run these commands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of commands, and then maybe we can try something, you can do that in the things. For a proxy setup, Muthu, I think when you do that, it might get added to the config file. I think it might get added to the config file so that you don't need to do that all the time. Okay. You can have a text format, you can have JSON formats, I would say, there are different formats you can get that thing also. The output can be in different formats. Normally people use JSON commands. So here, working with services here, if you come here, you can see some commands. You can do this CLI against any services, RDS, DynamoDB, S3, in AC2 instances, Glacier, anything you talk about, you can do that using Amazon CLI. But, we will just try to do with Amazon EC2. If you go here, you can see some commands where how they are doing it for creating security groups. For example, here, look at it, creating a key pair. You know how to create a key pair in Amazon, correct? Everybody know how to create a key pair in Amazon. You go to the console, EC2, there is a key pair section. You can create a key pair, simple as that. But how do you create that using AWS CLI? And this is the command. AWS.ec2 create key pair, key name, then you give a name for it, then you give the name, and then it will output that key pair. So you can create that key pair. You want to display a key pair, what is inside the key pair, it will do that. Deleting your key pair, creating a key pair, you can do that. Security groups, if you want to create a security group, let's try to do that in a minute. AWS EC2. So if you want to create a security group called MySG or anything, this is the command to create. So let's try to create a simple security group right now here using this format and see what happens, right? Let's try to do this here. Okay. So the format is AWS space EC2 space create dash security dash group space dash dash, then you give a group name, and now you have to give your group name what you want to say. We'll say, class 10 SG, and then you can give a description to that if you want. It is optional. Description, you're going to say, test SG created for class 10. So you can do that, and then you enter the command. That's it. So basically, I just did that. It did create it. This is the JSON format. I said, the output it will show. It actually created a group ID. It created a security group called SG3AA463 thing. So if you go to the AWS environment, and if you go to EC2 or anywhere, if you go to security groups, you will be able to find this particular security group. Now, what is the name we gave? Class 10. See, this is the thing, right? Class 10 security group. Look at the group ID, SG646. That is what we created, I believe, right? 646. So you just created a security group. Are you following? So every command that you need to do it, you can actually do here, do a, so create a security group. It is in page 10, you can see that here. If you go to the security group, this is an awesome document. So here it is the command to do that. In this document, sometimes they use, say they just use only the following command creates a security group description. See, I typed a description. You remember? I typed the that dot description I specified. You don't have to type the whole thing. If you want to use shortcuts, you can actually use the one dash and a D. Okay. If you're using shortcuts, you can do that. So here, you can see that it just created that group. If you want to do the creates a security group, so if you want to specify a particular VPC, now we created a security group, it just created a security group in the default VPC. But if you want to create it in a particular VPC, then you need to specify the VPC ID. You can see that, which is the VPC ID, so you can use that command to do that. Then you can create rules to create, you want to have ingress and egress rules. See, it is very simple to do that. Then there is options to create launching an instance. You want to create an instance. You want to delete an instance. You can do all these commands using AWS CLI. Let me try to show something else. We can create another security group or another thing. So let's try to create, I think I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just wanted to go through this and show you how to do this. It's basically, there is nothing much to teach here in this. Everything is in this document. You have to get used to the commands. But I just want to show you the power of this thing, basically understanding or installing the thing, creating that thing, that is what is important. I think there is also an option called creating profiles. Let me just show you that also here. Getting set up, configuring AWS CLI. So assuming role, not there. Where is that profile option? So there are options here you can do configuring. Yeah, let me see where I can command completion. Let's see, I can find out that option where I can do the profiles. Yeah, named profiles. So if you have multiple users, you want to configure AWS CLI, you can actually use the command, so this is the thing, you can actually specify the first user's key pair and the second user's key pair. So by using the option -- profile. So using a profile with AWS CLI, if you want to create, you have to, if you want to specify. So first you specify both the users, default, this is the first user, and you want to add another user, you can add another user here. So now both the information will be stored on the credentials file. You see that this credentials file will have both this information. And once you do that, you can also have multiple, you can see that, in this config file, there is also multiple regions are specified. So it will have all the information stored on that file. And then you want to run, for example, look here, this command is going to run describe instances. It is going to list all the instances in that. So let's let us just run that command here and see whether we can see this AWS-describe instances. So AWS space EC2 space describe, and you know that describe is the command to view everything. Describe instances. That's it. If you do that, it is going to show you all the things, because we don't have multiple profiles, but now it is going to show me all the instances in a JSON format with their details. I think it just went past. It is piping. Okay. I think it went to that. Is there a way I can do pipe more command? Yeah. So here it is, the first instance, it is showing all the instance, you don't need that command, but I'm just saying it is showing the first instance. Let me see, it is showing the key pair that is used, group name, external web server, security group. So the instance ID, you can see the MAC address of it, you can see the IP address of it. Every information about every instance in your environment is shown in a JSON format. That is what describe instances will do. Anyway, all right, let me clear this. All right, so that's the thing. So you can specify multiple uses here and do that. Okay, so that is how you specify whether to. I also want to specify one more important thing here. So in AWS, where is that option? I just wanted to specify that information. Hold on, let me see where I can find that. Configuring CLI, I think it should be here. All right. So this is also important, configuration settings and precedence. So anything, any command you specify, even if your credentials file or the config file is having US-East, that doesn't mean that it always go to US-East. If you are specifying a particular region at the command line, then that gets the preference always. So this is the way AWS CLI looks for credentials or configuration settings in the following order. This is the order it follows. So if you are specifying a region or an output format or a profile in the command line option, then that will always get the first preference. Okay? If you don't specify a region, then it will look at the config file and look for which is the region that is specified there, then it will go there. Are you guys following what I'm saying? If you're specified in the command line, then it will take that. If you're not specifying anything in the command line, then it will go back to the config file and say, okay, which is the region specified here, let me go there. Now, there is another option. If you still don't want to go to the config file, there is also in Windows servers, you can configure a certain environment variables. This is more used for scripting and automation kind of environments. You can specify certain environment variables like access key, secret key, your location, your region, everything you can actually specify in the environment variables. So you can actually specify these things in the environment variables. I think here it is. In the environment variables of a Windows server, you can create a AWS-access key. You know, environment variables, I believe everybody, if you don't know environment variables, you go to Windows servers, go to the, where is it, in the system, properties, go to advanced settings. There is an option called environment variables. There will be user variables and system variables. You can create a new environment variable like this, and then it will have a name and a value. So you specify that value here. Then every time you run the AWS CLI from that Windows server, it will always look at what is specified in the environment variables, and it takes that as an input to do that. So you can specify your default region, you know, session token, access key, your default profile, and things like that. You can also specify your path to the CLI config file if you want there. Okay. So these are things that you may want to keep in mind. You don't need to do all these things, but you know, in future, if you're getting on to more configuration and you want to use this more frequently, these things will definitely help you to do your things in a much more faster way. So let me take an example here. Let us go and try to create an instance using command line. I think probably that's a good task. So if you want to create an instance, can anybody tell me what are the things you need if you are going to specify in a command line? You're going to create an instance in Amazon. What all you need? Can anybody tell me? Okay, nobody is responding except one person. Sunu, I think you didn't understand. You are going to create an instance. You're going to create a VM in Amazon. If you want to create a VM in Amazon, what are the things you need? What are the things you should know in order to do that? Okay, region. Somebody saying region you should know, VPC you should know, subnet mask you need to know. Sorry, subnet you need to know, security group you need to know. Okay, these are things, but there is an important thing that you are all missing. You need to have an AMI, correct? First thing is you need an MI and then you need a key pair and things like that, correct? Correct. So let us try to create an instance using our AMI. So we need to know the AMI's AMI ID. So there is a command, you can find all that commands. I'm not going to get into that. You can find all these commands, everything in this, okay? So here it is, you can specify, you see, EC2 VPC, what is this? Launching an instance in a VPC. EC2 run instance. Run instance is the command actually to create an instance. Delete instance, if there is a delete. Run instance is what you need to do, so you can actually do stop instance, start instance, describe instance, run instance, delete instance. There is a instance specific commands are there. So you specify and then you specify your AMI ID. Then you specify what type of instance you want. You want to say whether you want T1 micro or T2 micro or R3 large, and then you specify the subnet or which subnet ID. You don't need to specify the VPC ID here. You can specify VPC, and we did see that somewhere here they are specifying a VPC. You can do that, but once you specify the security group and you specify the once you specify the security group or once you specify the subnet, then that should be enough. You don't need to do anything there. Then it should work actually. So I'm going to run this command. So this is the AMI ID. So let us go and run this command here. Okay. I'm going to create an instance. Let's see whether that works. I hope everybody is following me, right? So AWS space EC2 space. We're going to create an instance. So the command is actually run dash instances. Okay, so EC2 dash run that instances, then space dash dash. I can use just dash and use an I. I'm just typing the whole thing. Image dash ID space. Now you need to specify your image ID, AMI ID. What is the AMI ID? AMI dash B97682AF, right? Then you need to specify how many instances you want. How many instances you want to create? Slash slash count. You can specify 2 or 1. I'm going to specify 2 instances. And then you specify the instance type slash slash instance dash type space the type, what type you want, T1 dot micro. Okay. And now you need to specify your key pair. Anybody remember what was our key pair, what we use? So you need to use slash slash key space name and then specify the key pair name. I think our key pair name was, what was that? I think our key pair name was this. Class 10 VA key pair, correct? And then you specify which subnet you want to install it, slash slash subnet, and then you need to specify the subnet ID. I don't know which subnet we're going to put it. Let's go and find out a subnet. We will put it in a public subnet. This machine, we can put it in a, so we'll go to the VPC and let's find a subnet here. Let's pick up with class 10 VPC. We wanted to put it in class 10. So let's put this subnet here. This is the subnet ID. Okay. So this is the subnet ID. You need to select the whole thing, not just the ID. The subnet ID includes the word subnet also. Okay. So specify that. I think that is enough for you to create. You can probably add some more things. So everybody understand this command so far? I'm not sure it's going to work, but let's see. AWS space EC2. That because you're running this command in an EC2 environment. Then run instances. -- image ID, that is the AMI ID you need to specify. Then you specify how many number of instances you want to create. Then you type what type of instances you want to create. Then you specify your key name, which is your key pair name you specify. And then you specify your thing. You can also attach a security group with this, I think. But let us try, we can create this. We can always add a security group if you want later. Everybody is okay on this command? And I'm going to run this command. Let's see what happens. Okay, it is failing. Okay, I think it is saying unknown
Is it because
option.
of the key name, key dash name?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So it is basically it's key dash name, and then you run the command. There you go. So it actually created 2 instances. You can see all the details. You know, it's done. Okay. It's basically just created so fast. You know, it created. So let's see whether it is creating those instances. So if you go to the EC2, we should probably see 2 instances are getting ready. You can see here it is creating 2 T2 micro instances in US East 1-A. Now you can specify, you can actually specify the availability zone. You know, you can specify all that things are clearly mentioned here in this document. Okay. So let me see, you know, EC2 let me see where it is. EC2 instances. Okay. I think in the top, if you go here, somewhere here in the EC2 instance option, let me see where it is. All right, here it is. EC2 run instances has all these commands. You know, you can specify the AMI ID, they can specify the key pair, you can specify the group name, you can specify your data, you can specify your availability zone. If you want a placement group, you can specify what tenancy, you know, kernel, RAM disk, you know, you can specify a lot of things here. You can even specify a private IP address also. How many count you want, whether you want network attached, you know, all these things you can specify here, and here it is clearly mentioned here what type and how to use these options. You can use, you know, -K, or you can say -- key pair. You could do that to create a key pair group name. You know, that's a security. If you want to add a group security group, you need to specify the group name, and you can see all these commands are right here. Okay. And there is also a lot of blogs and all. I find out that people have so many commands. So you can see that the different options. So this is something that you cannot by heart. I don't think anybody should definitely by heart this, but you know, if you have this kind of a document, and you know, and the help command itself, you know, you can type the help command and get whatever you really want it. Does that make sense? So this is what exactly is AWS CLI. You know, I don't know what more I can talk about this. You know, you can do a lot of things with these commands, but you know, it's all about how you try it. So we actually try to create a security group. We try to describe all the instances. We also try to create instance. So there is also an options where, you know, deleting an instance. So there will be some using the AWS CLI. There will be some working with here. So if you go to AWS instances here, EC2, you will be probably seeing, using instances. So there are some commands here. See, the following command launches a T2 micro in EC2 classic. There is if you want to specify in a particular VPC, it will create in VPC. If you want to add a block device, if you want to add a tag to your instance, you can actually just specify EC2 create tags, and you specify resources, and then you specify your instance ID, and you can create a tag, key name and the value. Tagging is always key value pair, right? So you specify the key name and the value, and it will tag it. So connecting to your instances, list instance with specified instance. If you want to, you can use that to, if you want to, you can use filters. Basically, you wanted to see all the instances that has a m1.small, you can use that command to list it, and then you can pipe it to a thing, or you can use that to run other commands. Terminating an instance. See, here is an option how you can terminate an instance. So let us use that command and terminate our instances. So this is the instance. So let's try to terminate that one instance right now. So AWS that EC2 space terminate dash instances space / instance dash IDs space I dash you have to put this instance ID. That's it. It's done. Terminating instance. So you have to be careful with these things. Okay, you are doing it where you have to specify. So it is actually already doing. So if you refresh here, you can see that it is terminating that one instance. I also want to terminate this other instance that we just created, so that we should be good with it. So you can do that command, specify this. And you see the power of this. You don't even have to connect. This is the problem. This is why I have mentioned to you earlier that when you create an access key and a secret key, it's also a good practice to rotate the keys. One of the AWS architecture. Now, just wanted to show you something I was watching today. Oh, no, I lost that. Okay, I'll get you all that videos later. But there was a video I was watching, a well-architected AWS. There was a breakout session about how to architect AWS infrastructure. They were talking about large enterprises. An enterprise with different line of business, how you should design your VPC and all. It was an interesting video. I'll get you that video. But that was definitely an interesting video where you could learn a lot of stuff. So here is the thing. So we just deleted the instances, So you have to be careful with what you're running here, because just the one command and it will act very fast. You don't have an option to do it. You can see that it is shutting down and things like that. So that is actually AWS CLI. I would strongly recommend you guys to get used to this. At least, use it a couple of times so that, when things comes up, you will be definitely able to run some commands and things like that. There are situations where you may have to use AWS CLI. Okay, the point I was trying to talk was, so in that architecting AWS session, they were talking about rotating the secret key and access key, because it's not a good practice to keep one access key and secret key all the time. You always wanted to change that, probably every 15 days or every 30 days you may want to change that, because just imagine if you get, and now I think you might have got it through your video or something, you guys already got my access key and my secret key, correct? Do you want to connect? Do you need my username and password or anything? Actually speaking, if you guys have got that thing, by the time I'm teaching, if somebody can connect through Amazon CLI, they can wipe off my environment right now. Anybody think it otherwise? If somebody gets my, already they got it. Now you guys already saw my access key and secret key, and that is an access key and secret key that has administrator rights on this environment. All you need to do is just connect using that, and then you can actually do a star and wipe my entire environment. So when you're doing demonstrations, videos and things like that, please don't share your access key and secret key. It is very, very, very critical. So you have to be very careful. Now, if I want to make sure that my environment is going to be strong and secure, I should do that. The first thing I will be doing is I will come here and I will come here and delete or make my key thing. In fact, I'm just deleting that access key and secret key. Once I delete that access key and secret key, it will not work anything. If you do AWS EC2 describe instances, if I do this, it might work. I think it might. See, it's not working now. I just deleted it, so it is not working. So now even if you have the username and my secret key and password, you will not be able to connect because I deleted that key. That is why it is always advisable to rotate the keys. You don't want to, because if anybody gets hold of it, and that is the security risk I see. I never find any documentation on how to hide this. I think there may be some options, because you don't want this thing to be stored. If somebody stole your laptop or desktop, they will get this thing. If you are an Amazon admin for Bank of America and somebody stole your PC, and if they get access to this, what happens? That is why I was always telling, even if you are not using, you may want to keep your access key inactive. Only turn it on when you really need it. Make sense? So be careful with that. If somebody gets this access key and secret key, they can do a lot of danger to you. By the time I'm teaching, if somebody gets it, he could wipe off my environment just with one single command. So it's very powerful. So be careful with that, and don't share that information. Not even in videos. I would say don't try to do that. Any questions on CLI? No, I could do. I'm not wasting the time here. I can do another 10-15 commands to creating subnets, deleting that, deleting this, creating block storage. I think these are all simple commands. You need to do some trial and error method, and it will work. And this document has everything. There are so many blocks there. In fact, Amazon's course curriculum itself, not curriculum. This document itself is having a whole lot of information here. You can use using security groups, how to create security groups, how to delete security groups. Here, to view information about it, you want to describe security, you want to know a security group, and you want to know the settings of it. What is the owner ID, what is the group ID, what is the permission set to that. You can find out that, or you can actually see here, describe security group. It will show you the entire protocols and things like that. So you can actually use these things to export these things into a text file, and then you can use this to create CloudFormation templates. Okay, so you can actually do that to see that. All right. Okay. So, you can run these describe commands and get this information. This is all you need to create a CloudFormation template. Put this into the CloudFormation template and then run it. It will create a similar security group. So you can do that in different angles. Okay. So definitely keep a copy of this, and maybe I would say print out and keep this document, 230, so much pages, so many commands, everything is very well. This is actually the reference guide, Every options are clearly mentioned in this. Okay. So that is CLI. Get it installed if you're Linux. I've never tried that, but I think you guys can try that. Linux also. It is same thing. How to install. It's a jar file. You can just extract it and install it for Linux machines. Moving on. So the next topic I wanted to talk today is an interesting topic. Maybe you might find it a little interesting. I want to talk about device form. This is a whole new concept. Nowadays, mobile applications and mobile apps are getting very, very, very popular. Every website that you define or that you make has to be responsive website. I don't know how many of you know what a responsive website. Responsive website is like a website that works on any phones. If it is an iPhone, it comes in a different format. If it is an iPad, it will come in a different format. If for example, in fact, my Daskcase website, daskcase.com website, if you look here, you can see that the site looks like this now. It has all this information, everything here, right here. So if you look the same site in a mobile device, it will be a whole different look and feel. If you look at it in an Android phone, that is a mobile app. Mobile web app. That means it's a website which is mobile friendly. You can also create mobile applications. So nowadays, companies are making a lot of mobile applications, and how do you test them? How do you test mobile applications? Can anybody tell me? Okay, your company, Muthu, your company is making 5 different mobile application. Let's say, your company is Bank of America. They are going to launch a new mobile app for saving account. And you can go to Apple Store and download, App Store in Apple iPhone and download that app, and you can install it. But when you install that particular Bank of America's app and your phone stop working, do you ever go download that app again? You don't. After you install that app, your Facebook is not working. You're never going to like that. After you install your app, your phone becomes very slow. It may be the app might have been taking all the CPU and memory. You're never going to like that. So how do you make sure? Now, it may work well in iPhone 7, but from iPhone 6 and iPhone 5, it is really, really bad. What about iPhone 3 and iPhone 4 and 4G and 4G Plus and S and that and this, so many versions. It's not only iPhone, there are many other phones, Android phones, Google phones, Microsoft phones. How do you test and make sure? So how do you test all these devices? So there are scripts, Selenium, Appium, Calabash. There is a lot of scripting tools are available, but you still need a device to test it, isn't it, Nasruddin? Now, I know you said you need devices. So how many devices every company needs? Okay, you can use scripts. You can script manual testing. You can give it to all your QA guys, and those QA guys will be testing. Click that button, click this. It's go to the properties, do that, do this. How many phones you need? Just imagine if you are a gaming company, your company makes a lot of mobile games, they might need to test thousands and thousands of times, and they wanted to make sure that they're, because if one customer doesn't like it, that is a big problem. If he go to Facebook and put that, this application I installed on my phone, it crashed my phone or my information got theft or something, nobody's going to download that app. You want everybody to use that app. So it is very, very critical, and it is very, very important that whatever you are launching into the market, it works perfectly fine. And this is where a lot of companies do mistakes. So you have to buy a lot of phones, different hardware. Just imagine, let's take iPhone itself. You want to make sure that your app works in iPhone in every version. Let's say starting from version 5. So you need 5, 5S, 6, 6S, 7, 7S, then 6 plus, 7 plus, then there is some CE versions. How many phones? Already I'm talking about 10 different phones. Is that enough? No. You need phones now with some of them are running iOS version 6. Some of them are running iOS version 9. Some of them are running iOS version 8.5. It may work well in 8.0, but it may not work on 8.5. So you need different operating systems, correct? So you not only, so if you're taking iPhone 6, you need iPhone 6 with version 8 operating system, iOS version 8, iOS version 9, iOS version 8.5. You need different phones. Where do you get all these phones? How many phones you need, and who is going to test it? That is where Amazon came up with this great setup called Device Farm. Device Farm is a data center, a physical data center in Oregon. It is only in Oregon for Amazon. So Amazon has a huge data center in Oregon which consists of only mobile devices. I mean, you might have seen data centers with servers and routers and switches and all, but just imagine a huge data center with hundreds of thousands of mobile devices. Each of those devices are in a RF shielded, radio frequency shielded boxes. Each of the phone will have internet connection, Wi-Fi connection, and they are all connected to different AWS services. They are all connected with the different testing tools, and now you can connect to these phones and run your automated scripts and things like that. That is what is Device Farm is. Now, not only Amazon has Device Farm, there are other companies also do this. There is a company called Sauce Labs. They are a German-based company, very big in this, but it's pretty costly. There is another company called Perfecto Mobile that is also pretty good and very much in the industry. A lot of companies are using Perfecto Mobile. But Amazon Device Farm is also competing in this industry, and I think it is pretty cool, and they are coming up with a lot more options. In fact, I found this product, or I just came to know about Device Farm in one of the Amazon summit programs in New York. I came to know about this, and then I came back to my work and I started talking to my developers, and believe it or not, a lot of our QA team is now using Device Farm for their mobile testing, and they're very happy with the performance, and they're very happy with the features and capability. But we still do have a lot of challenges. Device Farm is still a new feature which is only out in the industry for a year or year and a half. There are still a lot of improvements are coming, but it is definitely a good place to look at it. If you're working in a company, you get some pat on your on your shoulders when you go and talk to the people and say, hey, you know what, we have something like this, or I can help you set up these things. So Device Farm is a data center, consists of hundreds of thousands of phones or physical mobile devices, and that is what is Device Farm is. So you go to the Device Farm. The first thing you need to do is you need to create a project here. So you can create a project, and let's give it a name called Class 10 project, and you create a project. So I created a project, and now I have to create, so there are two types of tests you can do. One is called remote access. This is a manual testing. We'll talk about that. First, let's talk about automated testing. Now that is what Nasir Reddy is saying, automation is what is now, everything is happening, even testing, in the old days, manual testing and automation testing, QTP and Selenium and all in normal world. Just like that in the mobile industry, there is a lot of automated testing tools are available. So you can create a new run. So let's go and run this. So there is two types. If you are using a native applications on Android or iOS, you can do that. If you are going to test any web application, just like my Daskcase website, if it is a website that you want to test it, you can do that. And if you have an application, you can actually do that. So this is the application. So I have a very small sample application. I have it with me. This is a very small application. I just got it. It is an iPhone application called ShaveMe.ipa. I think I should get a better one for my classes. But this is a product. This is actually now in the industry in Dubai. This product is widely used. This is one of my friend made this application. This is the very initial stage of this design. He sent me this IPA file. So anything that is ending with .ipa is a iOS application. And anything that is ending with an IPK file, .ipk is an Android application, and there are other things also. I'm only familiar with IPA and IPK. So this is a ShaveMe.ipa is a mobile app, okay? It's an iOS application. So you just upload your application. So I'm actually going to desktop, AWS Cloud, and let's upload this ShaveMe.app. So I compile my application. My web application is now ready. Mobile application is ready. I'm just uploading that. So it is just uploading that IPA file into Amazon's phone. So we are going to put it into a particular phone. So you just uploaded that. And now there are, so you can see that, it's a app, these are things. Now you need to divide, configure your testing and things like that. So next step is there are different testing scripts. These are all different type of scripts that you can use, Appium Java, Appium Python, Calabash, UI automation, XC test UI. These are all different type of things, but your QA guys, we don't need to know that. If you are a mobile application tester, you know how to create these scripts. That is their job, creating these scripts and then use that to test it. I don't have any Appium or Calabash scripts. If you have any scripts, you can specify that. But I'm not going to do that. But Amazon also by default provide some default scripting called Fuzz. So we're going to use Fuzz. Fuzz is a built-in script to test any application. It won't test your specific application needs, but it can still launch that application on this phone and test it and show you, okay, how is it performing. So let's use this Fuzz. But as I said, if you want to use Calabash or Appium or anything, you have to have that script with you, okay? And normally your QA guys, your testing team will have that. They should know these things. Without knowing Appium or Calabash, they cannot do any automation testing. So you do that. Now you can go and find out different devices. So it is an iPhone app, so automatically Amazon is saying, hey, you want to test all these things. So you can create, these are the top devices, or you can create your own set of devices. So I am coming here, I'm going to say, class 10 iOS devices, iOS devices for class 10 mobile app testing. So we are creating a pool of resources for us. If you don't want, you can use the default. So I wanted Apple iPad. No, I don't want any of these things. I wanted, a iPhone 6 Plus running 9.21 as the OS version. I want an Apple iPhone 7. I want an iPhone 5S with version Okay, I'll use the 5S with version 9.1. So I'm just using 3. You can see that so many different type of fonts here. Apple, iPod Touch. You see that. Can you imagine a data center with so many fonts? So when you click on iPhone 6 here with something like that, you don't need to do that. When you click on something like that, um, it's not just one phone. Amazon has hundreds of phone on the back end. This is just a icon, but when you click on it, there will be hundreds of phones sitting in a pool. It is called as a pool of devices, and whichever machine is available or whichever phone is available, you will automatically connect it to that. So I'm creating a my pool of devices. Currently supports built-in for, so okay, iPhone 7 is not supported, so let's just in this first is not supported. Okay, that's only problem. So let's go and divide iPhone 7. We don't need that. All right, so this is the 4 phones that I created for my own testing, because I'm going to test an iPhone application. If you want to test Android, you will see Android list. Every phone is available, pretty much every known devices are available in Amazon's data center. So we selected these things, and now you can specify, you want to add some additional data, things like that. For example, I'm going to test my Bank of America mobile app, but I wanted to know when Bank of America mobile app is done, what happens to WhatsApp or what happens to Facebook. So if you want to install other apps or other browsers and extra data, you want to provide some geographical locations, you want to have a GPS information, your application is going to test certain things. You want to test that in Saudi Arabia. Okay, how does it work in Saudi Arabia? Or how does it work in India? Or how does it work in Florida? You can specify the device locations using coordinates, and you should know what are the coordinates for every different locations. Latitude and longitude you can specify here. You can specify the language you want to use. You can specify different network profiles, like 3G good, or edge, or whatever, Wi-Fi, or whatever you want, you can use. What you can provide your network profile, so you can upload extra data here. You can upload other install applications, so it will do all that things. But I'm not doing any of that. I'm just selecting the default location, default language, and you click next. Now Amazon is going to charge you on something called as testing minutes. I don't know how much time it will take to test your application, but Amazon has something called as testing minutes, and they charge you based on testing minutes. Each minute is 17 cents. That is the price as of today. So if I'm going to make this test now, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, you get around 250 minutes free on your first account. So test as much as you want. You get 250 minutes of testing free. But each minute is actually billable, and it is charged at 17 cents per minute. So now I have, and each maximum minutes per device, 60 minutes. This is a new, I think we can increase that maybe. Okay, you can increase? No, that's the maximum. You can do it. So you can specify how much minute you want. So it is going to, if I'm going to use 60 minutes on 4 devices, I'm going to cost 240 minutes, and I have to pay for it.
It says, I guess you gotta contact them if you need to run tests longer than 60 minutes right there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everything in Amazon, they put everything on limit. So you can always increase it by calling them. Yeah. Not only calling them, you can go to your support and then ask for longer minutes. I think you need to contact us for the device form. Is a separate division in Amazon. So you need to contact them for certain things. So you do this, and you can actually go and run this test right now. Confirm and run the test. So right now it is going to run this shaveme.ipa full test. It's going to run this. Let's see what is happening. So the test is just started. Your app is currently being tested. It is running now. You can see the progress here. and you can see that these phones are started. So it hasn't got an iPhone 5 as maybe somebody else is testing. There may be 100 phones, so look at the 6 Plus. The latest phones is difficult to get. If you look for iPhone 7 and iPhone 6, you may have to wait for more time, because you see here iPhone 6s Plus. Okay, now it got it. So there is a pool of devices on the back end, even though you see it's only one phone, but in the back end Amazon has hundreds of phones there. But when you schedule it, so it is actually started the testing right now. They are actually testing on real phones. They uploaded my application, and it is very secure, and they have make sure that after your test is complete, the entire application, not only application, the entire phone will be reset to factory default, and none of your data will be there, so that somebody else can access it. Nothing. It is completely wiped off. Okay. So now with last week, I had a call with device farm experts, with the latest iPhone and all, with the touch sensitive screens and all, to push the touch buttons and all, it is actually having some challenges for them in getting latest devices into Amazon. But for automated testing, Amazon has all the latest devices. And according to them, if Apple releases a new phone, they are guaranteeing that that phone will be in their data center in a day or two. Maximum 2 days, they are saying. If a new phone or a new operating system is released by Apple or Android, it will be in their data center in a day or two. So you can quickly get access to those devices. You don't have to go and stand in Macy's data, for a long line to get your phone. You can test it right here. So it is testing now. This is what is called as the testing minutes. Each minute is 17 cents. Now, if you don't want to do this, if you're doing only small number of testing, 5 tests or 20 tests and things like that, you could do this. But there is also an option called a reserved instances option. You can buy a phone or reserve a phone by paying $250 flat fee for 1 month. So I can say I need an iPhone 6 for 1 month, and I'm ready to pay a flat fee of $250. Then you can use that phone to test 24/7 for 1 month. Whether you use 1,000 minutes or 2,000 minutes or 10,000 minutes, it doesn't matter. You still have to pay only $250. But once you pay $250 for an iPhone 9, you cannot use that to test the iPhone 7 or anything. You have to use that one phone. So keep that in mind. There is an option. There is an option where you could buy a device or reserve an instance for a longer period of time. Okay, that is $250 a month. Now, AWS Device Farm also has a good FAQ. I think you may want to read that. So here it is. It will tell you, I'm not going to go through that, but you can see that, what is AWS Device Farm, why should I use Device Farm, what type of apps you can test it, how do I get started, all these things, what is the maximum file size, up to 4 GB, you can upload it. Let's look at some selecting the devices, what type of devices, does AWS Device Farm have international devices market like in Europe? We currently have international devices from India. We use market data, consumer feedback continuously, so there is no Chinese devices, but whatever phones are available in India are also available right now. It is available there. Can I make a phone call or send SMS from a phone? It is a real phone there, right? They are not simulators or emulators. Believe me, they are not simulators or emulators. They are real phones. So they're asking, can I make phone calls? So no devices do not have carrier connection, cannot make phone calls or send SMS messages. So you cannot send any SMS messages or any phone calls using that, even though they have. You can browse the website, you can connect. I'll show you a couple of things. You can actually do certain things in the manual thing, but you cannot make a phone call from that phone. Okay. You can use cameras. You can use device cameras, the phone cameras you can use. You can test the thing, let's go and look at the pricing here. So there's a lot of questions here. Where is the pricing? Here it is. Here is the pricing. How much does AWS device FAM cost? Pricing is based on device minutes, okay? Which device testing means, which is determined by the duration of the test of each selected device. A form comes with a free trial. It will come with a free trial of 250 minutes, so you can all use for 250 minutes. After that, consumers are charged at 17 cents per device minute. Also, as I said, you can also do an unlimited testing for a flat monthly fee of 250 per device. So by paying $250, you can get a flat fee and you can do as much as testing is there. So what is trial week? All that questions are very well explained here. So I would strongly recommend you guys to check the AWS device farm FAQ if you want to know more about it. So here is our test. The tests are all completed. It took 5 minutes. This took 4 minutes. This took 5 minutes. So already I spent almost 20 minutes of my testing time. So if you look at the screenshots, you can see my phone app. You can see that, this is the Shave Me app, how it looks like in iPhone 5S. It looks like this. In iPhone 6.8, it looks like this. I don't have this other screens because we use the default fuss testing. Otherwise, you could click on the English button and log into this application, and then you can see the other screens and things like that. This is just automated testing of that. So every phone is showing the screenshots. You can actually go and go to the devices. You can click on this. Let's look at this iPhone 6. You click on this iPhone 6. This is not the beauty that you can see the testing. Actually, if you look here, you can see that phone. They have a video. They capture all these videos, and you can see that the app. This is how the actual testing. The app is started on that phone, and they are testing something in the backend. You could actually do that. Arabic versions. Not only that, you can also see a lot of logging information here. This is very, very useful. This is what actually the mobile testers need. They wanted to know, what is the log, what does the error message happen. You can also see the performance. I told you, right, you created an app, and if that app is going to take the entire CPU or entire memory of your phone, nobody is going to buy that app. Nobody is going to use that app. And not only that, you're going to go to Facebook and WhatsApp and say, what, this is a crappy app, never use it. I lost my phone. I couldn't even reboot it, you can do that. So there is a lot of performance statistics. You can see that this application, when we did it, it took around 23% of CPU. Not a great thing, it should not. I don't think an app should take 27. It is taking almost 50 MB of my memory. And you can also see syslog, the complete test log information is actually here. You can actually open that file and see the syslog information. The file is right here. Okay, this is the syslog. Every information, all the testing that is done, every details are here. I don't know how to read this, but if you are an automation output, automation log, you can see all that details right here. You can download. This is you cannot imagine these type of capabilities when you are testing in-house. Even if your company is having 100 phones, I don't think they have these kind of tools to find out. So you can see the video, you can see the suits, you can see the logs, you can see the performance, you can see the required files that you can download. You can also see the screenshots with this. Great. So this is the testing. So you can look for every app. You can see in iPhone 6 5S, whether it is taken. You can you can see the performance on this one. If you look at the performance of this one, you can see that the CPU utilization is coming. You can see that it took more memory on iPhones in 71 MB, whereas on 6 it took only 50 MB. So as the phone changes, as the OS version changes, the performance can be impacted. So this is how you measure, and this is how you identify what and how things happens. Is this clear for everybody? So device farm is very, very interesting topic, very powerful capability. It is in Oregon. It is only available in Oregon. That is where all the data centers are, but it doesn't matter. From anywhere in the world you can connect and use it.
Deepu, hello.
Yep.
Can you look up my question?
Sure.
Thank you.
I don't know that, Nasredi. What about Windows and OS? We can look at it. Let's go and let's look and see whether we can. I'm not sure. Okay, we'll test it and see whether there is any more. I don't know whether more Windows. I know some devices are there, but I'm not sure. I am not sure whether there is any iOS phones are there. So this is the problem is I am uploading an iOS application, correct? That is why it is only showing Apple devices. Now, if I have an Android app, it will show. So let's do a Google search. Did you do a Google search?
No.
Let's see, device list, here it is.
Okay.
Okay, so they have all these iOS version, all these Android and Fire OS. Fire OS is there, okay?
Okay.
These are all the phones that are available. Okay, BlackBerry is there, man.
Okay.
Google phone is there, HTC is there. You can see pretty much, you see the number of phones here. I'm amazing.
BlackBerry is Android though. That
Huh?
BlackBerry Priv is Android.
They should have separated it from the left.
I
That's
just see
Android
this
device.
one BlackBerry here. I don't know what is that.
That's Android. That Android device. That particular BlackBerry.
What is that?
That particular BlackBerry runs Android. That's why they have that
Mm.
on that list.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So, what if the test cases or the mobile application failed? So, do they have one to report a bug reporting tool? What after the test?
No, the test will show you that, I don't know, I don't do this testing, but, if you are a programmer, you may want to find out. You can call up, there is an FAQ section here, there is a blog here, I manage the environment, I don't get into their day-to-day activities, they have the capability to open the case, So what we do is we create a role. So what we have done in our environment is we create a role for a user. We created a user called Muthu, and then we'll give him a device farm full right. So Muthu can only do device farm stuff, and I don't know what they do. They can also open support cases and they might work with it. So I really don't know what they do. My job is to provide them access to the environment, make sure that they are logging in correctly, they are doing their things correctly. But and also I coordinate the phone calls with the support and things like that, or architectural discussions and all. I'll get into some little more details right now, but. Whether you get a bug report and all, I don't know that answer, man. Probably, we see the test results.
So this service is not going to eliminate a Selenium QA tester's job, like RDS does.
I'm not the right person to answer those things. I don't know. I think it is not Selenium testing. Selenium is different. Appium is a part of that, but for testing phones, there is not Selenium tools. I don't think there is any.
Yeah, no, I'm talking of web applications.
Yeah, web applications, Selenium and all, you can do it, but I don't know.
Okay.
I think, you may want to do some research. It will have all the answers there, but I'm not sure. Okay?
Okay, fine.
Right. So now the next thing is what we're going to do is we're going to do another test, class 10 test 2. Now here, I'm going to do a manual testing. Okay, you don't want to run any automation scripts, or you don't have any automation scripts. You want to do a manual testing. That means you want to click on the mouse. You want to do that. Let's see how that works. Now here, Amazon is having some challenges. you don't see all the devices that you see in automation pool. Those devices are not available. You can start a new session and you can choose a device. These are all the devices that are available. Not many choices. In the automation, you have probably thousands of devices, but in this option, you don't have too many. You can see that Samsung Galaxy S3, different providers, Verizon, AT&T, all these, the Sprint, T-Mobile, all these providers are also there. iPhones are there. But unfortunately anything more than 5C is not there. This is the only phones that are available. They don't have iPhone 6 and 7. In fact, believe me, last Friday I had a call with Amazon just for addressing this issue. We had some major issues. Our testers are complaining that they don't have 6 or 7 iPhones for testing. And the reason they said is from 6 onwards you have the Touch ID, right, on the phone. So when you're doing this manual testing, you have complete access to the phone. You can install whatever you want. So they have to, once you finish your test, they have to do a factory reset before it is given to another user. They could do a factory reset if there is people working in the data center go there and manually, but there is no automated way of doing a factory reset. That is the excuse they have given so far. I think they are coming up with some kind of a solution. They're working with these mobile devices, Apple and other companies. They are coming up with some kind of a solution to address that issue. But unfortunately at this point, if you want to do a manual testing, just by looking at the phone and you want to test, these are all the phones that are currently available. iPods and things like that are there. But anyway, let's go and test an iPhone 5s. And you just say confirm and start the session. Now, if you have to wait because there is a pool and it might take 5 minutes, it might take 1 hour, it might take 2 minutes. So right now, our application is waiting for a phone to come up. There are some phones that are sitting in the data center, but there may not be any phone available now. They are waiting for this thing. So let's just wait how much time we can wait. I'll wait for 5 minutes and see if we can get a phone. Mostly we will get a phone. We'll see. It won't take. I have never seen more than 10 minutes, but we'll see. But there is no guarantee that when you will get a phone. So right now we are not going to the automation testing, we are doing a manual testing. You're going to see a real phone coming up there now because they have cameras and that is how you're seeing this. I don't think this is part of your exam or anything, okay? I don't think device farm is part of exam. These are new features. Okay, we got it. All right, here is your phone, man. Here is your phone. Before even getting into the app, you can send messages. You can see that it's an iPhone 5s. You can see, you want to see the calendar. You can open the calendar. You want to go to the home. You can go back to the home. This is really working. Okay, so you can configure your phone. You can use the phone. There is a browser should be there. What is the browser? Where is the browser in this? They remove the browser. Okay, here it is, Safari. So this is actually a real browser. This is your phone. You can test your application. So you can go here and test your application. So if you want to do something like, let's say, let me see, I can get solventsys.com. Here you go. That's my training site. This is what I said, the solving in a mobile phone, this is called as a responsive site. If you go to my training website, if you type solvinsys.com, it is going to look like this. You can see all these icons and you can see my trainings, all the trainings, everything is listed here. But look at in the phone, you don't see it like that. You have all these options here. You can click on this button. It's not, okay, here you can see it is coming like this. This is called as a responsive site, what I mean by that. So you can see that, you can refresh it. So it is actually working. It's a phone that you are having there. You can go to your iPhone, you can connect your thing, you can send SMS messages. I don't think SMS messages work, but you could possibly install WhatsApp here. You can configure your Apple ID here and configure your stuff. You can look at your map, everything works fine. So now you want to install your application. Let's go and do shaveme.app here, and let's see whether we can install it. So probably it will come up here. I never seen this. This is the first time I'm going to test this, okay? First time I'm testing this, and I never took this session in any of my previous classes. So first time I'm going to try this. So let's see whether our application here. So it should come up here, right? Shaveme.app, okay.
I was right there on the second page.
Is there?
Yeah.
Here you go. I'm seeing this first time, man. So let's see our app starts. Okay. English. Can I go here? It's interesting. Okay. I never seen this app. Okay. I'm first time clicking that. So anyways, so this is what it is. So you can test your application, and you can see, and now the beauty of this is after your test, you can get all that performance details. You can get all the logs, you can get all the syslog and things like that, and you can use that to find out. This is manual testing. You can see the battery life, you can see the time, you can see the Wi-Fi. It is connected to Wi-Fi, but no other carriers, it is there. So you can test your app. Now you install the app. This is why they wanted to do a factory reset, because they cannot give this phone to somebody else, because I already installed an app here. I can also go to the App Store and probably download more apps. I'm not sure they have App Stores. So they might have removed that. But you have an option to pick and choose whatever you want. You want to do it in a landscape mode, it will change the phone in a different angle now. So it will change that.
Just curious, can you check the camera on the phone?
Camera do work, but it is in a RF frequency, RF shielded box. So I don't think what you're going to see there. It will definitely work. Camera, we'll see. The camera is here. So you can see the camera. There you don't see anything there. I just changed the thing. So I'm just saying allow. I will see what is there in the data center. So it's in a sealed box, Jacob.
Oh, okay.
So you cannot see that. You can change this and see the other side. We'll see anything you can see from there. No, there's nothing. I don't think you should be able to see it. It's sitting in maybe in a data center. Okay. So this is basically what it is. So I'm going to stop this session. So I just wanted to give you an idea about what this is. So this is actually the device form. Now, I just found out there is another service also Amazon is offering. It is not here right now. You cannot see that here. So you can actually go and there are some device farm settings here. You can have how many remote access, automated settings. You can have some testing settings. You can do that here also. Okay, so you can see all your projects. I think you can delete these projects. When you come here, there is an option to delete the project and delete the projects. Uh, Cool. So this is actually AWS device farm. So what I wanted to show you, talk quickly is uh, there is something called as a new thing that they came up with is called as it's already and it's on the down here. It's called as private devices. So a private device is a physical instance of a phone or a tablet that is exclusive for your account. Private devices can have static configuration. So what is this means? I'll quickly tell you this. Private devices are something like you can buy phones from Amazon. It will not be shared with anybody. It will be just for you. Amazon, you tell what phone you want. They will buy that phone for you and they will configure that phone just for you. So you don't have to wait for anything. You don't have to depend on anything. These phones will have IP addresses and all just for your use. You can install a VPN client on it and then you can create a tunneling software from your applications and connect to it. For example, many times in our office we have a challenge now. Most of our web applications are internal to our network. They are not exposed to the internet. If my application is not exposed to the internet, then how do I test it? So that was one of our challenge. So we don't want to expose our internal applications to the internet. So we were trying to find a solution. So we are now looking at getting some private devices. Now private devices, it is costly, it is not cheap. What Amazon is saying is a phone that is having a cost from $600 to $900. Let's say you have a phone, the price of that phone is $600 to $900. Amazon will charge you $500 a month for that phone. Now you may be thinking, what the heck is that? If that phone is only $900, I will buy that phone and then I can test it for 1 year. I still need to pay only $900. But remember, you have to buy a data plan with it and things like that. But forget about that. But still, $900 is a one-time fee. Whereas in Amazon, they're saying, if you're buying a $900 phone, we will give it to you for $500 a month. Not only that, you also have to give them a 6-month guarantee. 6 months minimum you have to use. So if you buy a phone, then you have to use it for 6 months, whether you use or not. 500 to 600 range, the price for them is $400. Any phone that is between $250 to $400, the price of Amazon is around $200 or $150 a month, things like that. So private devices are devices just for you. Amazon buy it, Amazon rack it, and Amazon configure it for you. But the beauty of that is when you have 10 devices that is purchased by you, you will get an IP addresses for that, so you can whitelist those IP addresses and you can configure VPN client on these devices. You can install whatever you want. You can install Chrome and Firefox and Safari and all the things that you want to do. It is just your phone and you can do pretty much everything you want to do it with that. Private phones and private data center or private VPC, they call it as, are completely different from the manual testing that we saw or the automated testing that we saw. It is a separate division of Amazon device farm which will give you direct access to your phones and you can test it. The beauty of that is these phones that you buy are also connected to other services in Amazon. I don't know these things, but if you are a mobile developer, Amazon's mobile services, they have something called as mobile hub, Cognito, mobile analytics, Pinpoint. This is for chat software. Today, actually, Amazon released a new product. Anybody see that? It's called Chive. Where is that? It should show up somewhere here. Chive or Chime. Yeah, Amazon Chime. This is a instant messaging system by Amazon. So, okay, they had automatically taken my company name and all. Okay, so you can use that. So I'm not going to explore that, but this is something new. They just released today, okay? This is a product that was released today all over the world. It's a communication service that transforms online meetings. So you can do online meeting. Maybe I should try this for instead of Google, GoToWebinar. Maybe I should try this. Who knows? I will be using in another 3-4 months. This is a new product that a business product they just released today. If anybody wants, take a look at it. I see I already got like 4 or 5 mails about this product. This was released today. So private devices are that. What I was trying to tell you is Mobile Hub. Mobile Hub is where actually you can build, test, and monitor your mobile apps with AWS Mobile Hub. So this is integrated with Device Farm. So by using Mobile Hub, you can create your mobile applications and you can test it using the Device Farm. So this is highly integrated with the Device Farm. Cognito is again the same thing. Cognito is again another makes it for gaming softwares and all. Cognito is used a lot. I don't know anything about it. Basically, it's the use of Cognito is synchronized data across multiple devices. I think I told you in that initial classes, you have an iPhone and an iPad and Apple phone, and you are playing a game at your office in your laptop, and then you are in the bus or train, you want to continue that game from your mobile phone. And when you finish from office, you are at level 4. You can start from level 4 from your mobile phone, and then when you reach home, you took your your iPad, and then you can continue from level 7. So that synchronization of data between your devices and all is actually done through this service called Cognito. So if your developers wanted to take advantage of Cognito, they could, and then they can use a Device Farm to test it. I don't know, these are all developers area, but Device Farm is something that was interesting for us, and that's why I said. Okay, so definitely spend some time to understand Device Farm so that you can talk to your developers and get their feedback. And I found it very interesting, and I think in my company the developers took it pretty seriously, and now they are really using this a lot. The other company that I found is Source Labs, I think. Source Labs, this is the site that I said. This is a company that is also providing very similar services. They also have phones. You can do automated testing, manual testing, and things like that. But I think the pricing for this company is little costlier. But if anybody, NASA ready and all, if you guys want to test it, I would definitely ask you to test this site. That's another one. Another one is Perfecto Mobile. Perfecto Mobile is also a company where you could do a lot of testing. They have a lot of products where you could do mobile testing, for your mobile devices. So this is also pretty costly. Okay. All right, so I think we'll stop here, guys, today. So I think this is clear. Any questions? Otherwise, we'll stop here. We will have class tomorrow. Tomorrow we will talk probably another thing. So How many more classes? I don't know, but let's see how much we can do tomorrow. Whatever I know, I can cover. Okay, there is still a lot of things here, but I will be talking. What I know is what I'm talking. Route 53. We'll talk about VPC, and then probably I will go through a couple of things here and there. That is what I think I know. Then I'll talk a little bit about these things. Little bit. I don't know anything detail on this, but I'll just show you what these things are. We'll probably talk a little bit about small things. But 2 or 3 more major topics that needs to cover is one is Route 53, one is VPN connections. These are 2 major topics that I think that are left. I'll also talk about trust advisor. Cool. All right. So we'll stop here, guys. Thank you. Any other questions?